Bueckers, who was setting the world on fire as soon as she stepped on the court.
UConn women's basketball junior guard Paige Bueckers suffered a torn ACL in her left knee.
What I am seeing is Paige Bueckers the best player in America.
It just seemed like yesterday to when the 6-foot-tall, highly talented guard solidified herself as the best player in all of high school basketball, which featured other exceptional talents like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. But since then, she's dealt with her share of setbacks, and what came with that was a lot of people forgetting how great of a player she truly is, even with all these spectacular accolades that she's accomplished since a kid. But recently, she's been on a mission to truly earn that #1 spot back. This is the Paige Bueckers story. Paige Bueckers was born on October 20th, 2001 in Edina, Minnesota. Now her father, Bob Bueckers, so happened was a pretty stellar high school basketball player back in his day as he operated at the point guard position, while her mother, Amy Fuller, so happened represented the University of St. Thomas in cross country and in track and field. But for Paige, she would start playing basketball at age 5, and as a child, she would play Little League baseball as a catcher as well as football and soccer, but really focused in on basketball by the 1st grade, and by that time she would even become close friends with no other than Jalen Suggs. And throughout her development while being coached by her father on the basketball court throughout her elementary and middle school years, Bueckers drew a lot of interest from players like LeBron and Kyrie, as well as Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird. Now by the 7th grade, she was a bit of a problem on the basketball court, so much so that she played for the 10th grade and junior varsity basketball team at Hopkins High School in Minnetonka. And by that time, she was 110% committed to her craft, and that was constantly finding different ways to better her game. And what came with that was Bueckers playing year-round for the North Tartan, an AAU program for the Nike EYBL Summer Circuit. And at the exact same time that she was turning heads and dominating at every single gym she played at, Paige grew 4 inches in the year before her 8th grade season. Not too long after, she joined Hopkins High varsity team as an 8th grader and even put up pretty solid averages of 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal a contest. And what came with that was her receiving Division I offers at just the age of 14 years old from programs like Minnesota, Iowa State, and Illinois.
Sabres want to trap Bueckers, getting it over to Bates and back out. Bueckers will take that 3 and she hits. Bueckers putting on a show here of late. Just an 8th grader.
But she didn't stop there. Paige led her team in 3-point shooting and ranked 2nd in assists. Hopkins finished with a 28-3 record and a runner-up finish at the Class 4A state tournament, where Bueckers was named to the all-tournament team. Now in her freshman debut for Hopkins High School in 2016, she simply went off for 28 points, 5 steals, and 4 assists in a win. And just like that, she was one of the go-to scorers on her crew. That season, she would maintain averages of 21 points, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, and 4 assists a contest, which allowed her to earn all Metro first team honors for the Star Tribune. She led her team to a 31-1 record, as her only loss came against Elk River High School at the Class 4A state championship. In January of 2018, as just a sophomore, Bueckers was unfortunately sidelined due to an ankle injury that had been hurting her for the first 2 months of the season. Now for her sophomore season, she was able to average 22 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds, but she would suffer her 3rd straight loss at the Class 4A state title game, despite leading all scorers with 37 points. Now following the season, she would be named the Star Tribune Metro Player of the Year, becoming the first sophomore to win the award since the creation 34 years earlier, but was also recognized as Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year for athletic excellence, academic achievements, and exemplary character.
Found this outside. Paige Bueckers, you are the National Gatorade Women's Basketball Player of the Year.
Oh, thank you.
Now, as a junior, while standing at 5'11", she scored a career-high 43 points and a win over Wazada High School and surpassed 2,000 career points. But not too long after, on March 16th, despite having an illness that caused her to vomit earlier on in the day, she still was able to record 13 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals as her team won the Class 4A state championship, while willing her team to a 32-2 overall record. Now, at this point in time, there wasn't really much anything that she couldn't do on the court. She could score at all 3 levels, a great passer, outstanding in transition, and as soon as the ball went in, she would be ready to lock you up on defense. She would move to the Minnesota Metro Stars AAU program, and in August of 2019, she became AAU Player of the Year, according to Prep Girls Hoops, which no doubt allowed her to solidify her spot as the #1 player in the country in her class of 2020, according to ESPN. On January 29, 2020, during her senior season, Bueckers became the first high school female player to be featured on the cover of Slam magazine. Now, towards the end of the season, she did suffer a stress reaction in her right leg due to overuse, and sometimes wore a walking boot as a preventative measure, but was limited in practice and even missed the first game of the state tournament. But once she returned, she led Hopkins to the Class 4A state championship game, which was canceled on March 13th due to the pandemic. That year, she averaged 21 points, 9 assists, 5 steals, and 5 rebounds a game, leading Hopkins to another undefeated season and 62 consecutive wins, finishing as Hopkins' all-time leader in points with 2,877, assists with 795, and steals with 574. Bueckers would even finish her high school career winning 3 gold medals for the United States at the youth international level, but was also named a McDonald's All-American, and as she had offers from schools like Notre Dame, Oregon, UCLA, UConn, South Carolina, Texas, and Duke, she made the decision to sign a letter of intent to play college basketball at UConn. Now, entering her freshman season, sports publications described Bueckers as the program's most hyped recruit since Breonna Stewart in 2012. But unlike Stewart and former UConn stars, Paige became the leader from the beginning of her college career. On February 3rd, she posted a season-high 32 points and 7 assists in a win over St. John's in New York. It was the highest scoring performance by a UConn freshman since Tina Charles in 2007. And just 2 days later, she scored 30 points in a win over Marquette, but didn't stop there. In the very next game, she put up 31 points, 6 steals, and 5 assists in an overtime win against South Carolina, which allowed her to become the first player in program history to have 3 straight 30-point games. Now, after leading UConn to the Big East regular season title, she was named Big East Player of the Year and the unanimous Big East Freshman of the Year, joining Maya Moore as the only player to win both awards in the same year. Now, on March 21st, Bueckers recorded 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in a win over the 16th-seeded High Point in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Now, her 24 points were the most by a UConn player in their tournament debut. Now, in the Elite 8, she simply went off for 28 points and a win against second-seeded Baylor, which helped UConn reach their 13th straight Final Four. But unfortunately, they were upset by third-seeded Arizona. Now, that year, she averaged 20 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals a contest, shooting 46% from three-point range. Her 168 assists were the most by a freshman in program history, despite the shortened season. That year, she would win the Best Female College Athlete ESPY Award, as well as becoming the first freshman to win the AP Women's Basketball Player of the Year award.
I know I love you guys, and none of this would be possible without you guys and Coach. Just thank you.
On April 30th, 2021, Bueckers underwent surgery on her right ankle to repair an osteochondrial defect, joint damage involving the bone and cartilage. But fortunately, she was able to return in October And in her season debut on November 14, 2021, she recorded 34 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists in a win against Arkansas. The very next month, Bueckers injured her left knee while dribbling the ball with just 40 seconds remaining in a victory over Notre Dame, and had to be carried off the court by her teammates. Now, an MRI did reveal that she suffered a tibial plateau fracture with an estimated recovery period of 6 to 8 weeks. Not too long after, Bueckers underwent surgery to repair her fracture and an undisclosed lateral meniscus tear, and because of that, she was expected to be sidelined for 8 more weeks. And during her absence, UConn had a 15-4 record and briefly fell off the top 10 in the AP poll for the first time since 2005. And on February 25th, 2022, she was cleared to return, and that was against St. John's, where she came off the bench for the first time in her career. She scored 8 points in 13 minutes due to minutes restriction. Now, she would only have 2 points in UConn's win in the Big East championship game against Villanova, but she really picked it up in the NCAA tournament and led her crew as far as the national championship, until unfortunately losing to South Carolina. Now, she had all the anticipation coming into her junior season. Things would all be shut down.
Some breaking news here on NBA Today. UConn women's basketball junior guard Paige Bueckers suffered a torn ACL in her left knee and will miss the 2022-23 season. Just brutal news. Bueckers sustained the injury during a pickup basketball game and underwent an MRI on Monday evening to confirm the injuries.
This would be the injury where she really learned to really prioritizing taking care of her body. Things like the proper nutrition, the proper sleep, and activating her body before she got on the court really wasn't that important to her prior to her injury. Now, she would receive an extra year of college eligibility after redshirting that entire season, and on September 1st, she announced that she would return to UConn for the 2023-24 season instead of declaring for the 2023 WNBA draft. But as she returned on their season debut on November 8th, 2023, she recorded 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists, all in just 21 minutes in a win over Dayton. But truthfully, she just needed to get the ball rolling, because that next week, she scored 31 points against UCLA. On February 16, 2024, she announced that she would return to UConn for the 2024-25 season. Now, at the end of the regular season, Paige was named Big East Player of the Year and was the unanimous first team all-conference selection as she helped UConn win the Big East tournament. Bueckers would go on to lead her team all the way into the Final Four until losing to Iowa. Paige Bueckers has been driven since a kid to truly maximize her hoop talents at the highest level. And even in the midst of her journey to when things didn't quite go the way she expected them to, she's truly always remained in that mode to overcome all adversity.
You can look at one play and say, oh, that was like, that killed us or that hurt us, but we should have done a better job. I should have done a better job of making sure we didn't leave the game up to chance like that and leave the game up to one bad call going our way and that deciding it. So yeah, maybe that was a tough call for us, but I feel like I could have done a better job of preventing that from even happening.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Paige Bueckers story.